His mom hijacked our vacation and took him to a 5-star hotel without me, but right when I was ready to leave, everything changed. Hey everyone, I've been a long-time reader here, but this is actually my first time reaching out for advice. So, here goes. I've been with my fiancé, Adam, for 5 years now, and we've been engaged for the last 7 months. We share a beautiful home and work hard to keep our relationship strong. The problem isn't Adam. He genuinely tries to manage the situation with his mom, but it's clearly taking a toll on him. And honestly, I'm scared that one day he's going to feel forced to choose between her and me. I don't want that. It would break him, and I never want to be the reason he has to make that kind of decision. There have been several issues with his mom, but I'll focus on the most painful and recent ones. About 3 years ago, just a month after we bought our house, she told Adam she desperately needed to replace her windows. Mold was starting to grow, and some of the windows had lost their seals. Now, the thing is, his mom has a healthy savings account. She regularly splurges on expensive things like Birkin bags, bi-weekly hair appointments, manicures, and she buys a new Mercedes every couple of years. But despite all that, she never actually plans for basic maintenance. So, she asked Adam for $25,000 to cover the windows. And he agreed. When he told me, I felt like my heart might stop. He assured me it was just a loan and she'd pay him back. Meanwhile, I'm still carrying student debt from law school, and our mortgage is already more than we can comfortably afford. To make things worse, she told him something along the lines of how I'd be perfectly fine letting her freeze all winter if it were up to me, and that he had to step in. In the end, we refinanced and pulled more money out of our mortgage just to cover the windows. Of course, she insisted on the best of everything. We haven't seen a single dollar back. I'm guessing it all went into her new GL-Class SUV. As Shakespeare once said, neither a borrower nor a lender be. I wish we had taken that advice. A year after that whole mess, Adam and I started planning a vacation. We decided to spend 2 weeks in Europe. He'd never been, and I had lived there until I moved to the US for school. We picked Spain and rented a gorgeous little apartment in Barcelona. Just right for the two of us. Everything was tailored around our interests. Adam is obsessed with architecture, so we planned a few tours with that in mind. Then came the bombshell. His mom decided she was coming too. She'd never been to Europe either, and apparently, that meant she had to join us. I tried, gently, to appeal to Adam's logical side, but his emotions always get pulled by her, and I couldn't talk him out of it. So I gave in. But of course, coach wasn't good enough for her. She had to fly business class and didn't want to travel alone. So, she paid for Adam to upgrade and fly with her. That left me alone in coach. Then she refused to stay at our rented apartment. It wasn't luxurious enough. She insisted on staying at the W Hotel and convinced Adam to stay with her because she said it wasn't the same without her late husband, who'd passed away before they could travel to Europe together. That was 10 years ago, by the way. So, there I was alone in our apartment while Adam stayed with his mom at the hotel. We were supposed to meet up for breakfast each morning, but she never got ready on time. They usually came down around 11 a.m., which meant we missed most of our planned outings. I felt like a complete third wheel. Honestly, I wondered why I even came. I could have stayed home and felt less lonely than I did on that trip. Later, as Adam and I began talking about our wedding, I told him I wanted to keep it small and simple. My family still lives in Europe, and my dad is seriously ill. We're afraid traveling could make things worse, so I didn't want to risk his health just to attend a one-day event. I suggested a quick courthouse ceremony, with his mom, sister, and close friends, followed by a fancy dinner celebration. Well, his mom absolutely hated that idea. She threw a fit, insisting that if her son was getting married, it needed to be a grand event for everyone to see. I kept staring at my side of the guest list, which looked so painfully empty, and I honestly just wanted to cry. She ignored everything I said and started planning this over-the-top wedding anyway. I had been very clear with Adam about wanting something small, really small, but she refused to listen, even to him. She doesn't even call me by name, just says her or she, and then accuses me of acting like I'm too good for a big wedding, too good for this country. Which is ridiculous because my family is American. My dad was an ambassador. Lately, things have gotten even worse. She started demanding more family time, saying we need to have dinner with her 3 times a week. And while she lives nearby, we actually don't see her that often because she's usually busy with friends or other events, unless it's something like planning our wedding. She started making dinner reservations for 6 p.m., even though I don't get home until at least 6:30. Then she turns around and guilt trips Adam into eating with her anyway, saying I clearly don't care enough to show up and how sad and lonely he must be because of it. The dinners themselves don't bother me as much as the nasty comments she makes behind my back. One night, I decided to leave work early and surprise Adam. I was out the door by 4:30 and home by 5. He had just walked in, and I opened the door with a big smile to greet him. He was genuinely excited that I could finally join him and his mom for dinner. I told him I just needed a quick shower and to get dressed, and he called his mom right away to tell her I'd be coming. Then I heard him say, "I hope there's a reservation for 3 tonight." Her reply? She had planned on eating earlier, like 5:30, and was already on her way to our place. She showed up at 5:15 and said she couldn't wait a minute longer and had to eat right then. Adam told her I'd be ready in just 15 minutes and even offered to call the restaurant to push back the reservation. She flat out refused. Said she was starving and that it was cruel to make a poor old woman wait just so I could go through what she called my vain rituals. Adam came upstairs and asked if I could skip a step or two to speed things up. I told him just to go ahead without me, and I'd meet them at the restaurant. He agreed. When I arrived, the table was set for 2. Adam offered to squeeze me in, but she claimed it would inconvenience everyone and said I should just sit at the bar while she tried to fix it. I had 1 drink by myself, and then I left. I came home, sat down, and tried to calm myself. And now, here I am, writing all of this out. Wow. That was a lot. But I think I finally see things clearly. As hard as it is to admit, I think my relationship with Adam is over. I think the reality of the situation really hit me as I was typing out that first post, just pouring my heart out into words. Thank you all for reading it. Update 1. Honestly, I didn't expect the response it got. I mean, I'd already pretty much come to a conclusion when I posted, but the flood of support caught me off guard in the best way. The overwhelming kindness, wisdom, and shared experiences from all of you, it's something I can't even describe properly in a comment or private message. I cried reading your replies. Some of you gave me much needed perspective, others shared stories that sounded all too familiar, and it made me feel less alone. I'm truly grateful. There's not a major update yet, but I wanted to fill you in on what's happened so far and also take a moment to say thank you, from the bottom of my heart. That night, after I posted the thread, I was 2 glasses into a bottle of wine when Adam came home. It was late, and he looked completely drained. He sat next to me on the couch and just stared at me, eyes full of sadness and uncertainty. I asked if he wanted to talk, but he said he needed time to sort through everything that had happened. I told him I needed space too. Then he said something that stuck with me: whatever I decided to do, he would accept it. After that, I called my maid of honor and asked if she could come pick me up. I wanted to stay at her place for the night. Before I left, Adam and I kissed, and he told me he loved me. I told him the same, then I left. I haven't been back since. The next morning, I called my office and requested a few more days off so I could visit my family. Right now, I'm writing this from my parents' home in Europe. I called Adam to let him know my plans. He offered to drive me to the airport, but I told him Colleen, my maid of honor, was already helping, and I'd email him once I arrived and settled in. When I got to my family home, I kept my word and sent him the link to the Reddit thread. A lot of you asked me to show him what I wrote, so I did. He read it. Every single comment. He also read the part where I said I'd come to my decision that this might be the end of our relationship. We had a short conversation over Skype. He told me the thread hit him hard, that it made him feel exposed and raw. But at the same time, he said he was glad I finally expressed everything. Then he asked if I was really sure about ending things or if I needed more time to process. I told him I was about 90% sure. That number was part of a running joke between us. When we had to make tough decisions, we'd ask each other for a percentage. That's what I gave him. 90%. I told him I was using this time away to be absolutely certain before doing anything final. His eyes lit up just a little when I said that. He told me we could talk about it more once I got back to the States. He was right, I wouldn't end things over Skype. We still have to go through the legal stuff with the house and try to recover any deposits from the wedding plans. His mom didn't actually pay for anything, despite hijacking the entire process. On a brighter note, I had a really good sit-down with my dad while I've been here. His health has improved lately, which is a huge relief. And during that conversation, he offered to give me 2/3 of the house's cost. He said I could either buy Adam out and take over the mortgage or just walk away and buy something of my own. I didn't see that coming. He told me it wasn't about pushing me one way or another, just giving me the freedom to choose. He said he didn't want to see me end up with a broken heart and a broken bank account. So that's where things stand right now. There's no dramatic development between Adam and me yet, but I do feel more empowered thanks to the support from my family and all of you. I've been spending time with my loved ones, which has been good for my soul. My mom and I have been shopping together, my brother and his family, he's a doctor, have been visiting for dinners, and my sister is flying back from China tomorrow. I'm so excited to see her. Wishing you all happy holidays and a hopeful new year. With any luck, my next update will bring a final decision one way or another. Update 2. Hi again, and first off, I'm sorry this took so long. Life's been hectic with work and things back home, but let me bring you up to speed. I truly can't thank you all enough for the ongoing support and for sticking with me through this. Your advice, your honesty, and your personal stories have helped bring clarity to everything. And yes, Adam has been following along too. Before I go on, I want to say something important. I really appreciate those of you who stood up for Adam. I don't see him as a villain in this story. I could never bring myself to be cruel or passive-aggressive toward him, even now. He's been there for me through so many key moments in my life. He helped me emotionally through business school, ran mock interviews with me when I applied to law schools, read over every essay. He stayed up with me the night before the bar exam when I was too anxious to sleep. He cheered me on during my first triathlon, and when I spot a house centipede, he's the one who comes running like a superhero. He's been my dream guy. And I wouldn't walk away from him if I didn't feel like I was slowly drowning in a battle I can't win. And now, here's the part one didn't expect at all. Someone commented that if Adam really cared, he'd show up outside my parents' house. Well, he took that advice literally. On the evening of December 24th, he showed up. With bags. In a rental car. I was completely shocked. The first thing out of my mouth was, "What the bleep are you doing here?" He just laughed and said he couldn't wait until I got back, we needed to talk now. Apparently, he had been reading every comment. And they opened his eyes. He said some of the stories reminded him too much of what he's lived through with his mom, and it made him take a long, hard look at things, especially what happened at the restaurant. He told me the way I looked at him that night, it broke his heart. What I didn't know was that after I went to sit at the bar that night, he and his mom got into a full-blown fight. He told her he felt suffocated. That he doesn't feel free. He even mentioned how his sister used to complain about the same thing, but since she moved far away, things quieted down a lot. A lot of people have asked me why I tolerated this for so long. I've tried to pinpoint when it started to change from typical overbearing mother-in-law stuff to something that felt more like emotional manipulation. I think it began when Adam and I bought our house together. Before that, she and I actually got along okay. We even went shopping together once and got our nails done. But after that, it all shifted. The window incident was the first major red flag. I think that's when she realized our relationship was serious, like really serious, and her grip on Adam started slipping. So back to that night at my parents' place, Adam and I finally had a true heart-to-heart. We laid everything bare. No big shocking secrets came out, nothing like abuse or betrayal, just a very painful realization. He believes he was raised by a narcissistic mother who sees him as her prized possession, and she's been fighting to keep control of him ever since he fell in love with me. We made a decision together. On December 27th, Adam flew back to the US, a few days before I did. He packed up his things and moved them out of our shared home and into a friend's place. Adam didn't want me to be the one inconvenienced by the changes he needed to make in his life, so we agreed to press pause on our engagement. He canceled all of the wedding plans his mother had set in motion. Since mid-January, he's been going to therapy twice, sometimes 3 times a week, and he's stuck with it. I've joined him for 4 of those sessions, and I can already see a difference. His mother, however, hasn't gone to a single one. In a way, we've started fresh. We're dating again, just taking it slow and figuring out who we are outside of all the chaos. I've also been talking more with his sister, and hearing what she's been through with their mother makes me realize just how lucky Adam is to be breaking this cycle now. As for his mom, Adam decided to give her one last chance. He told her he'd be willing to go to therapy with her. But if she refused, that would be it. He said he'd cut off contact completely. We know we've got a lot of healing ahead, a lot to rebuild, but we're both committed to doing the work, together. Update 3. It's been a while, time's passed, we're all a year older, and Adam and I are actually writing this update together now. Yep, you guessed it, we're still together. In fact, we're married. After our last update, Adam continued therapy to unravel the deep emotional damage his mom caused over the years. At that point, we were still living separately. Then something happened. His mom attempted suicide. Or, well, sort of. She called emergency services before taking anything, and never managed to swallow more than a couple of pills. The whole thing was more about attention than a serious attempt, but it was still deeply unsettling. It's hard to reconcile the Adam I know positive, funny, strong with the trauma he carries. But that trauma runs deep. He was emotionally abused by his own mother for most of his life. So was his sister, maybe even worse. I mentioned before that she'd suffered more when they were younger, but after their dad passed, his mom turned all her focus onto Adam. Adam's father died of kidney failure, and Adam had actually donated one of his kidneys to try to save him. Sadly, the transplant failed, and his father passed away around 11 years ago this coming April. In her grief, his mom manipulated him. She made him believe that he was to blame for his father's death. That if he hadn't done more, if he hadn't failed, she wouldn't be alone now. She used that guilt like a leash. Every time Adam tried to take a step toward independence, she'd yank him back emotionally. I used to think the window situation was just her blaming me, but when I really listened, really remembered what Adam had said, he was repeating her words. She claimed the house was falling apart because there was no man around to take care of it anymore, and that was Adam's fault. It's only now, looking back, that I realize he was trying to tell me how messed up it was, but I just couldn't see it then. Same thing happened with the Barcelona trip. She was manipulating him in front of me, and I didn't fully grasp it at the time. When he was younger, it wasn't about romantic relationships or control over his life decisions. It was about grades, sports, achievements. She didn't see her kids as people, but as trophies. Fast forward to now, Adam's therapist suggested he offer his mom a final opportunity to attend therapy with him, to work through the damage. But after her so-called suicide attempt, she immediately booked herself on a cruise for much-needed rest and relaxation. When he finally brought up therapy, she reacted like he'd asked her to do something awful, like it was the most outrageous, cruel request in the world. That was the end of it. He went no contact. Since then, she's tried reaching out, but Adam ignores all unknown numbers. We changed the locks. His workplace knows not to let her in under any circumstances. Then in July, she moved to the city where Adam's sister lives. But I know for a fact, because his sister and I are close, that she hasn't spoken to their mom since she got married. As for the $25,000 we lent her for the windows, we've written it off. Maybe we'll get it back through probate when the time comes, or maybe we won't. Honestly, neither of us has the emotional energy to chase it down right now. Adam's afraid she'll try to use money as a bargaining chip to buy her way back into our lives, and he wants no part of that. We ended up getting married in September. Then, just this week, we flew out to visit my parents and renewed our vows in their home. It was small, meaningful, and exactly what we needed. In January, we're heading to Fiji for our honeymoon, finally taking the kind of peaceful trip we always wanted. My dad hasn't been doing too well. He has his ups and downs, but this time my brother, who's a doctor, isn't feeling optimistic. That's been heavy on all of us. Before we wrap up this journey, Adam and I wanted to ask for one small thing. Since so many of you have supported us through all of this, we're planning something personal, and we'd love your input. We're going to hold a grief ceremony for Adam's father, something real and healing, not tainted by his mother's manipulation. For those of you who've lost a parent, what helped you through that kind of pain? Thank you all, truly, for everything. We wish we could have invited each and every one of you to our wedding, but yeah, that would have been kind of creepy.